my TBR has been getting longer and longer, and I have been reading less and less. So for the next 7 days to come, I'm going to challenge myself to read 100 pages a day, which is going to be 700 pages by the end of the 7 days. And so hopefully that is 2 books. We are currently reading Happy Place by Emily Henry. It has been pretty good so far. It's a very summer book, which I'm very happy that I'm like choosing such a summery book to kind of like end my summer out with, because it's August, and so we're ending the end of summer with a beautiful summer read. And I always hear so much about this book, and specifically Emily Henry. She writes so many summer like books, and she's supposed to be a very good author, and so I'm very excited to be reading this. I'm currently at chapter 11, which is page 107. And so far, she just every single year and every single summer they go on this trip with their friends, and it's like a huge, or not a very huge friend group, but it's a big friend group, and they go on a trip to Maine, and they just stay in like a beach house, and or I think it's a lake house actually, and her ex-fiance is there, and they didn't tell anybody that they broke off the engagement. And so they're like, okay, we're just gonna like pretend a little bit longer, because they don't want to like ruin their friend's happiness, because their friends are gonna get married that week, and so like we don't want to like ruin anything and like cause drama. So like we'll just like keep it under wraps and like pretend for a little while. And so I guess the whole entire book is gonna be about them just kind of like reconnecting and getting back together. But I really like this because I've never like heard of a book that's like been where it's like rekindling a romance already, which I feel like is very nice, because a lot of times in romance books things go so fast, and so I feel like it might be very nice to have something where like we already have a foundation to something and we're just kind of like getting it restarted. And so it's, what is it called, like a linear timeline. So it's like sometimes it's in the past, and so you kind of like got to see how they met and like all that sort of stuff, and then you get the present as well, which is very helpful. But it's not like every single chapter is like from the past, and then like every other, like, you know what I mean? So it's like chapter 1 is like from the past, and then chapter 2 is from the present time. It's just like every now and then you like get something from the past, which is very helpful and very nice, because I don't really like it when books have like so much of the past, if you get what I mean. I like it to be like thrown in there every now and then. And so I'm gonna be listening to this while I go ahead and clean my room, and then I'll come back to you guys for an update to tell you how it's going. Right now they're locked in the wine cellar together, and he has like claustrophobia, and so he's freaking out, and she's like trying to distract him, and they're like scared that their friends have just like forgotten them, which they totally have, because it's been like an hour. And I'm gonna listen to this on Spotify while I clean my room, and then I'll probably come back and then finish the rest of it reading. Okay, I went ahead and listened for 3 chapters, and so we are currently on page 145. Not much has happened so far, so there's not really like an update that needs to be made, but we're on chapter 14, and I was just doing my little craft. I'm making a TBR jar so I can actually have all like my TBR in a physical place, and then every time it's time for me to read a new book, I'll just pick out a new book and everything. And so I've seen these before on Pinterest, and I thought I would do my own. It's been pretty fun. It's gonna be filled up though a lot, because I still have a ton more books to put in, because I have like my board on Pinterest, and it has like 83 pins on it, so that's 83 books. And then I have on the story graph, I have like even more books. So, but we're on chapter 14. I'm just gonna read some for a little bit until it's lunchtime and we have our coffee. I did a white chocolate brown sugar, and then I did some white chocolate cold foam for it as well, and it's very good. It's a little bit sweet though, so I think I'm gonna make it tomorrow. I'm gonna make it just less sweet, because I don't like a super sweet coffee, and so I'll just do my syrup next time. We're currently on page 209, which means yesterday we read 102 pages, and I'm really wanting to like this book, but I'm just not like super into it right now, and or not like right now, like I'm just not super into the book, and we are more than halfway through, but it's really like I don't understand what's happening really, and I really want to like it because so many people like Emily Henry and so many people like this book specifically by her. Like, it's not a bad book, I just don't understand why so many people like it. She does have really good writing though, but that's like, she has really good writing. I think you can definitely like see like the friendship in between all the people in this book. That's one of my favorite parts in the book, is like seeing the friendship, and it feels like these people are like actually friends and actually like each other, and like this could like actually be a real story in real life, which is always something that I really like in books that are like contemporary books, because you can actually like see that this could happen in real life and believe that it would happen in real life. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm not like super attached to it. I don't know, it's just like, I don't really know how to even explain it either. It's just like, it's not my favorite. I just don't understand really why I'm not like being super hooked on it. It's just, it's not bad, but it's not great. So it's just like in between. At page 247, and I think we figured out one of the reasons why they like, or why he broke off the engagement, because he broke off the engagement, but like she was like never quite sure. But we're like having a part of a chapter in the past, and she's like talking to him, and like basically her parents, like they just stayed together for them, but like they didn't love each other and stuff like that. And so over here it says, if we're making each other unhappy, I say it as evenly as I can. We can't keep going. I couldn't stand living every day knowing you would resent me. And he says, I won't. He says self, I couldn't. And so he was like unhappy because he didn't want to live in the city. And so I think that's one of the reasons. I think it's gonna come back around at like the end when they get back together, and he's gonna like kind of bring that back up, that like he didn't want her to be unhappy. That's my theory of what's going on. But we are currently on chapter 32, page 310, and so we read exactly 100 pages last night. I was listening to some of it while I was on my run, and that was pretty nice. I've never like actually done that before, of like listening to a book while I've been on a run, so that was like a different experience. But we got a little bit of like a plot twist in here, like a itty bitty one, and you're kind of seeing also there's like the big friend group that you start out with, and they're kind of like breaking apart right now because they've just been like holding on to things. Like one friend is mad because another one canceled the trip that they had planned together, and then another one is mad because like she just kind of like stopped talking, and so it's like a whole entire thing right now. And that's kind of where we left it off right now, and they just, one friend was like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave. And so here we are right now. We're gonna see what happens. We have, I believe, 80 pages left, and then we're finished with this, and then we can start our next book. And so I'll go ahead and update you when I've either done or then something like major happened. Okay, we just finished Happy Place by Emily Henry, so let's give you a little bit of a review. So it definitely has like some fake dating, second chance romance in it, with a side of like their big friend group trip, which they take every year in Maine. And one of the catches is is that they broke up 5 months ago but didn't tell anybody, and now they're being forced to share a bedroom together and still act like a couple. So that's where the fake dating comes from. And it was really a really deep story about emotions and how friend groups evolved and how your dreams evolve and stuff like that, and just about like two different sides of the family. And kind of, it was such a deep book about emotions. It was actually crazy the way that she writes the emotions, and you just get to feel them and it feels so real. I was slightly disappointed with this book overall. While I did think it was a great book to kind of like showcase people's emotions and kind of like how their dreams change and how like their perceptions of like how they want like other people to perceive them kind of like changes and everything. I didn't think the romance was that great personally. I thought it was going to be an amazing book because everybody loved Emily Henry and everybody loves Happy Place, but it wasn't hitting for me. Like, maybe it's because I had such high expectations of it, like going into it, because everybody said they loved it so much, but I just didn't like hook onto it as much as everybody else seemed to do. And I just can't pinpoint why I didn't quite like it. It just wasn't my favorite. And so I think overall I gave like a 3-star, which isn't bad, but how everybody was like saying it was, I thought it was going to be a 5-star. And so I am kind of sad and disappointed that it was not 5-star. And then the book that we're going to be reading next is actually a reread, and it's going to be The Midnight Library, because I have the second book to this that I got through Book of the Month, and so I want to reread the first one again before I read the second book, which has been something I've been wanting to do ever since I got the second book. And so we're finally going to be doing it, and we're going to be finishing. We have about, I believe, 30 pages of reading left to do. And so this should be pretty easy because I remember flying through this pretty fast. And this basically like the whole entire plot of this book is she commits suicide, but like she goes to a library like before she like actually dies, and then she gets to like see how how her life could have been if like she would have like taken different directions or something in her life. And then at the end they're like, do you want to live or do you want to die? And she's like, I want to live. And so that's kind of the plot behind it. In the second book, I know because there's like a romance in it, but it's like a weird romance because it's like obviously a life that she could have had if she would have like pursued this guy or like talked to him, but she never talked to him, but he was like somebody that she saw a lot. And so I think the second book is going to be kind of about her actually going for that romance, and so I'm actually really excited to see that happening in the second one, hopefully. But we still have to read the first one first, obviously. And so I guess that's what all the little windows are of all her little lives, of what her lives could have been. I remember when she was like a polar, like she went to like the North Pole or something and was like doing something, or Antarctica. I don't know, she went to somewhere cold and she was like studying that and stuff like that. And then I remember in one she like wrote a book and was like famous or something, and I think in one she was a singer because there's that over there. But yeah, that's the next book. We have about 30 pages of reading to do with this, and I remember liking this book a lot, so hopefully I still like it, because I haven't read a 5-star book in quite a bit of time. But maybe I'm just like getting pickier as I read more books. I'm just like getting pickier with what I call a 5-star read. Who knows? We also made ourselves a salted vanilla iced latte, which was very delicious. And we put like cold foam on top of it, and it was a coffee cake cold foam. It is a little bit late for doing that. It's like currently like 7 o'clock. And we have to get up early tomorrow, so it might not be the best idea to do this, and I might regret it later tonight. But for now, it's sounding really good. It's day 4, and we did not end up reading 100 pages yesterday. We did not read 100 pages at all. We read probably around 80 pages. I did not end up starting this book, so I did not end up starting The Midnight Library. So I just finished The Happy Place by Emily Henry, and then I just stopped reading for the day because I honestly went to bed and I was pretty tired. And I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put on the audiobook for this, because I do have quite a bit of things I want to get done today, and so I don't want to just like sit down and like read for so much of the day, because then I feel like I'm gonna just get because then I'm going to feel like I'm going to just waste a day. I honestly cannot talk at this point. It's crazy. My speech is not working. But we're gonna put on the audiobook for this, and I'm gonna do some laundry while I do this because I have a huge pile of laundry that I need to get done, that I need to wash and get folded. And then I'll probably clean up some more of my bedroom and do my chores, and we'll listen to this. I also have like 2 pairs of headsets that have gone missing, and so I need to go find those. And hopefully we'll find them while we're cleaning. But we're gonna go ahead and put on the Midnight Library while we're gonna go do that, and we're gonna start to kind of feel a little bit more alive and a little bit more awake because it's currently 3 o'clock, but I just feel like so brain dead. Like my brain feels literally dead. All right, it's officially the next day. I just kind of abandoned you guys, but we did do some reading, and sadly we did not get to 100 pages. That's like twice now that we haven't gotten to 100 pages, and I'm like, who makes a challenge for themselves and just fails it? But I'm like, you know what, that's okay. At least I'm reading more than I usually do. We did get to page 85, so that's not like it's not too bad. Like we did reading at least, and what got pretty close to our goal. But so far what's just been happening is, so basically what happens, and our main character's name is Nora Seed, which I don't know why it's such a weird name, and I like it so much for such odd reasons. But her name is Nora Seed, and basically she's miserable because she thinks she's made like all the wrong decisions in her life, and that she's done like basically everything wrong because like she had like a bunch of opportunities of things that she could have done and things that she was really good at. So like, for example, she was like really good at swimming, and a bunch of people were like, oh, she's gonna be an Olympic swimmer when she grows up. She was in a band that got like a really good deal, and then she like backed out of it. She backed out of like a wedding 2 days before the actual wedding date. And so basically a bunch of things have happened to her, and she has a bunch of regrets in her life, and she ends up committing suicide one night and goes to a place that is supposed to be in between life and death, and it's called the Midnight Library. And she gets to pick a book off the shelf and then live a life that could have been hers if she had made like different decisions. And then if she gets disappointed in that life, then she gets sent back to the Midnight Library and gets to pick up a new book, and gets to pick out a new life. And then if she doesn't get disappointed, then she stays in that life forever, like she had always been there. And so we've gone through 2, I think we're on the second life right now. The first life, she was like, I want to be where I had never broken off the engagement with my fiance, and so she went back there, and their dream was to have a pub, but they weren't happy, and then like he cheated on her and got like an alcohol addiction, and so then she got sent back. And there's also like this huge book as well, which is like called her Book of Regrets. And so I remember as she goes through all the lives, slowly all of her regrets start to disappear inside that book. And then the second life right now is, she's like, I wish I would have gone to Australia with my friend to go live there. And so that's the life that she's in right now, and it is definitely just as good as I remember when I first read it. I don't know, there's just something so different about this book that I feel like I've never read another book like this, and I just love it so much because of that. And this author is just an amazing author. I read another book by him too, which is called The Dead Fathers Club, which was such a weird book, and I like didn't know what happened at the end because it was so weird, but it was so good, and it was so odd. And I also made myself a latte. It's a brown butter coffee latte. I feel like it's not that great though because I feel like it got watered down. Maybe it's because I use oat milk, and I usually don't normally use oat milk. I've just like started using normal milk now because I actually didn't notice that with oat milk it just started to get like watered down instead. But I added a little bit of creamer, and it kind of helped to fix it. But because creamer it's very sweet now. It's not like super sweet. And then I made myself a cookie. It's a little sugar cookie, and I set it on the floor for literally 5 seconds. Was calling Honey to get out of the room. I look back in, and she's licking the frosting like over here. I like scraped it off. Hopefully it was the right space, but I think it was the right space. But she was licking it off, and she was doing it so daintily too, and I was like, no, you can't do that. I was very flabbergasted because she usually doesn't do that, or maybe not. She did eat a whole entire slice of pineapple cake once. So this is when I got last time I went to the library. but it's also by the guy who wrote The Midnight Library, and it's called The Life Impossible. I have no idea what it's about, and I don't want to read the description because I honestly like to go into books not knowing anything about them, and so I don't know anything about this other than it's by the same guy who wrote The Midnight Library, and I'm pretty excited to read this. I think it's supposed to be new. I'm not quite sure, honestly. Got the second book in the series, Benedict Sidey, The Nightingale, and The Inheritance Games, which I'm pretty excited to read because I think it's supposed to be a fantasy, and I have not read a bunch of fantasies this year, and so I want to like get back into fantasies. So that's what we have, and this is World War II set in France. Last day of our reading challenge. We're just on a walk right now, and I'm going to be listening to my book. Yesterday, I think I just listened to my book. I didn't read any of it, and so I'm not quite sure how many pages I'm at, and I'll tell you guys when I get home. But right now, we're just going to go on a walk, get our steps in, and listen to it. In audiobook, we have an hour left, so we are almost done, and then we are going to be finishing it today because I'm going to go to a cafe and just read the rest of it, and then pick up another book to read, and then finish our 100 pages. I'm very proud of myself for actually doing this challenge and completing it well enough. I would like to do it again, but actually get all the 100 pages every single day.
A spark arced towards a different shelf, and that too set alight. At about the same time, a large chunk of dusty ceiling landed by Nora's feet. Under the table, ordered Mrs. Elm. Now! Nora hunched down and followed Mrs. Elm, who was now on all fours under the table, where she sat on her knees and was forced, like Mrs. Elm, to keep her head down.
Just finished my book, and I love this book so much. It did make me cry though, because it's kind of a sad book, or it's like sad happy at the end, and she ends up being like, I want to live, and so then she goes back to her normal life, and she's like, you know, even though it's not perfect, it still has hope and potential. And so it's such a sad, happy book, and I love it so much. And I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5, maybe even a 5-star read. I don't know, I really love it. The Inheritance Games, which my friend read, and I don't really know what it's about. I know there's like the inheritance, and I think it's given to her, and I think there's like 3 brothers. So she's left like $1 billion when Tobias Hawthorne dies, and then there's like secret passages, riddles and codes, and then she has to move into the house, but all the other grandsons are still there. And I guess that's kind of what it's about. But I've never read from this author, and I've never read anything by her, so I'm excited. I'm not sure it's supposed to be a fantasy book or not, though. So we'll see. And she just went to Texas, where this book is based, and they basically like read the will, and she was given like basically all the money, and then the grandsons who like thought they were gonna get all the money, they like basically got nothing, or they got a lot, but like compared to billions, they got basically nothing. I think they got like, I was saying they got all $1 million combined together, and there's 4 of them, and so they're all like, what the heck's happening? And they're all really mad because they were expecting to get all the money, but now she's gotten all the money, and they're like, who the heck are you? And she's like, I don't even know this guy. And so she like owns everything now. She owns the house and all that sort of stuff. And they just went to the hotel, and she's like, I can't afford this hotel. And she's like, and now you own this hotel now. But it's pretty fun and entertaining. And I'm like, why can't this happen to me? Why can't I just like inherit $1 billion? But we're at page 45, and I have about like 30 more minutes of reading that I can do, and then I'm going to work. But I think we'll be able to finish our 100 pages today. I think I'm gonna read 100 pages out of this book, just that way it's easier, because I'm not sure how much I read out of the Midnight Library, and that was too hard for me to calculate. So I'm just gonna read 100 pages out of this, which I'm trying to see where it would lead me to. Okay, that means I have like this much more to read, which won't be too hard. I'll like do that, and then I'll read some of my break for work, and then I'll read some when I get home at like 8 o'clock and read into the car. It'll be fun. I also made myself a coffee. It's basically just kind of like cold foam now though, because it's literally just white. But it was a Belgian waffle latte, and it had maple syrup, vanilla, and then I did a white chocolate cold foam, and so it was very, very good. I really liked it. But yeah, it's basically just milk now. But the cold foam tastes good. That's good. I've been loving making lattes at home, because I actually have like supplies to make lattes now, and so it's been really fun to just try different latte recipes. I'm also like using my shirt to wipe off the table, because I literally got it all wet. But that's where we're at right now. And I love to like read and then have playlists on Spotify for the books. I never make them myself, but I love to like listen to playlists other people made. And the playlist right now is just fitting this book so well. It's also a great way to listen to new music, because I feel like I never listen to new music unless I like discover it through books I've read while like having a playlist for it. And so this one is a really nice playlist. I actually really like this book so far, and it's a series, so I think it's gonna be very fun. And one of my goals this year was to read 5 series, so I'm very excited for this, to have a new series to read.